Hey, what's happening, all my little ponies out there? I'm Duuz-Diz-Din, and I'm coming at you with another episode review of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. This time it's Season nine's Episode 21, titled Daring Doubt. Yes, it's another Daring Do episode, another stupendous Daring Do episode, the final Daring Do episode, where we actually see Fluttershy on her way to Rainbow Dash's house. And, I never really think about it too much, but Rainbow Dash really has a big house. It's weird. But Fluttershy has been reading a lot of Rainbow Dash's back catalog of various Daring Do books, so she's getting in on the fun too. However, when Fluttershy mentions that she's read, one of the newest Daring Do books, Rainbow Dash is kind of skeptical because she's just like, wait, no, that's not right. Yeah, there hasn't been a new one in quite some time. But once she actually sees it and sees the title, it seems kind of odd because it seems to demean Daring Do to a certain extent. And Fluttershy points out that this is actually not by the usual AK yearling, it's actually by a person named Martingale, who is a new writer for a new Daring Do series. But once Rainbow Dash reads it, she realizes that a lot of it treats, basically calls out all of AK Yearling slash Daring Do secrets. Namely, that all of her adventures are in fact real. And Fluttershy is just, Rainbow Dash is kind of, questioning how someone could write a lot of this because all of it just really seems to paint Daring Do in a bad light. So, Rainbow Dash actually wants to head off to this book signing by A. Carol Yearling so that they can actually get to the bottom of what's going on. However, Fluttershy actually isn't quite sure if any of this is actually slander, as she feels like there's two sides to every story, and a lot of the things that Daring Do actually does, seems to kind of line up with a lot of the more unsavory things that she does, the more harmful things she seems to do to the plants, animal life, everything that she seems to do in order to get to where she's trying to go and achieve what she wants. But they head out and they see there's a lineup for the book signing. Unfortunately, most of the fans in attendance actually criticize AK Yearling. Not just about the fact that, hey, all of these stories are actually true, but, why did you never tell us that Daring Do was actually not that good of a person in general? But, Erika Yearling does her best to defend herself, saying, no, a lot of the things going on there in that book aren't true. It wasn't like that. But many of the fans don't even believe her, especially considering that she painted Daring Do as a fictional character when she was in fact a real one. So a lot of her fans up and turn on her. And when, Fluttershy and Rainbow Dash come in to talk to her, they talk about the fact that, it seems a little odd that, they kind of question, how did this happen? Why did this happen? But, she's actually at a bit of a loss. And when Fluttershy asks the question, it's just like, well, why didn't you just point out that these stories were true from the beginning? That way no one could actually kind of slander you like this. But, AK Yearling didn't do this for the fame or notoriety. She just felt that the stories were too good to keep to herself. So she wanted it to just be out there in the world for everyone to enjoy. We also, of all things, find out that the author of the other Daring Do book, Martingale, is actually doing a book signing across the way in a larger public library. And while A.K. Yearling can't go in fear of being recognized as Daring Do, Rainbow Dash and Fluttershy head off only to find out that it is none other than Dr. Caballero in disguise, making these new books. He's basically cribbed Daring Do slash AK Yearling style. So while Rainbow Dash wants to go in and confront him, and it's just like, of course, it's evil and dastardly. Of course, he's doing this to, just increase his own fame and notoriety. But Fluttershy kind of points out that's kind of what AK Yearling is doing, just kind of putting herself out there as the hero of this story, and and probably embellishing things in her direction in order to make herself sound better. But Rainbow Dash goes and confronts Cabeleron and asks and demands that he expose himself for the liar that he actually is. But Cabeleron plays dumb and simply kind of writes things off as a personal signing. But Rainbow Dash threatens to expose him to the whole of his fans if he doesn't fess up. But, Cabeleron makes a bit of an escape by offering up free books to all of his fans, which creates a bit of an opportunity, but he's still caught nonetheless. But Cabeleron exposits that, hey, there are in fact a few inaccuracies in AK Yearling's books, and if there are those inaccuracies, what's to say there aren't even more and more inaccuracies in all of her writing? But Rainbow Dash is having none of it. She's loyal to Daring Do, the friend that she's made after all these years, and Cabeleron is giving her no reason to believe anything that he would say. Meanwhile, Fluttershy is actually willing to just take some time and listen to Cabeleron, if nothing else, because that's just the nature of her character. She is willing to give others the benefit of the doubt because she's just that kind. And so Cabeleron spins a tale about how Daring Do would always swoop in and, disrupt their archaeological digs that they were doing for a museum, and she was always petty and destructive and selfish, keeping all these artifacts to herself, which, while Fluttershy does note that yes, AK Yearling / Daring Do has a lot of artifacts at her house, she also notes that Cabeleron was trying to sell these artifacts to the highest bidder. Cabeleron simply says that it's because our museum was dying because of all of the objects that Daring Do was making off with. And we couldn't sustain our way of life because of what she was doing. We got desperate. And while Fluttershy does note that yes, Daring Do does destroy a lot of things and get in the way of a lot of things, there might be some merit to what you're saying. And Cabeleron actually kind of invites Fluttershy along on an actual archaeological adventure. Meanwhile, Rainbow Dash goes racing off to AK Yearling to explain that Cabeleron is in fact Martingale and has been writing all this slander in order to just discredit Daring Do at every turn. However, once she explains where Fluttershy is actually about to go, Daring Do realizes that they're probably after the truth-telling necklace, and that's what they're probably going to use Fluttershy to help them get. Now, as Fluttershy and the Cabeleron and his henchmen make their way to the jungle, Cabeleron does his best in order to show his better side to Fluttershy and, really kind of convince her that he's a good person. But, a few of his more volatile tendencies kind of shine through over time towards some of his henchmen, including Rogue. But, when Fluttershy starts to kind of try to share certain things, like her food and, various items that she has for trekking through the jungle, the Cabeleron and his men are actually taken aback because it's just like, oh, well, she's actually very generous and nice. Unfortunately, this is cut short by an intervention by, Aoizoto's jungle cats who, patrol the forest trying to ward off any intruders. But, Fluttershy stands firm. She's not afraid of these kinds of creatures. In fact, she actually befriends Aoizoto's jungle cats, much to the surprise of Cabeleron and his men. But as Daring Do and Rainbow Dash make their way towards the ruins, Rainbow Dash does question why Fluttershy would be brought along on such a thing. And Daring Do exposits that it's probably because only a Pegasus will be able to get to the artifact. And well, it's this magical necklace that does tell the truth, help make you tell the truth. Ultimately, Cabelaron only probably wants it because it's made out of solid gold. Meanwhile, we still continue to see Cabaleron's more volatile nature come out when he yells at his second in command, Biff, who even starts to kind of lament how he never seems to be listened to, even though he's supposed to be the second in command. But Fluttershy actually talks him through it and says, oh, one day he'll listen to you. You just have to give it some time. So they make their way to the top of the temple, but they have to wait until the sun is at its highest point. We have one of the henchmen named, Rogue, take a rest underneath some poisonous insects, only for them to be warded off by Fluttershy. Because of this, Cabelaron and his men continue to be more and more taken with Fluttershy and just the really nice tendencies and skills she continues to show off towards all of them. She treats them like people, and they are actually very impressed by all of this. But as Rainbow Dash and Daring Do make their way towards the temple, they end up being ambushed by none other than Aizodl, who has come to capture and keep Daring Do away from the necklace. However, Daring Do manages to break free and escape with Rainbow Dash up to the temple. Meanwhile, Cabelaron uses another artifact in order to open up a secret passage into the temple, which they have to rush into before the sun, moves out of place. But, Rainbow Dash and Daring Do also manage to make their way in at the last moment, but without a map, they're not going to be able to find their way through as easily as Cabelaron and Fluttershy and his men. So they make their way to the necklace, while Cabelaron lays it on a little thick about his frustration in being unable to reach it. Fluttershy offers her assistance in going to get the necklace, only for the booby trap to be sprung and lava to start to rise out from the pit underneath. With the help of his henchmen, Cabelaron actually goes about saving Fluttershy and making sure that she's protected and safe. With all of Cabelaron and his men actually being excited that they were able to work together and help out Fluttershy, really showing that they've really taken a keen liking to her. But in comes Daring Do and Rainbow Dash, and while Fluttershy does her best in order to try to convince the two that Cabelaron is actually on the up and about all of his stories about owning a museum and his plight and his problems, when she asks him if it's right, Cabelaron, having no choice but to wear the necklace because he doesn't have hands or even a satchel, like, come on, dude. Wearing the necklace of truth, he ends up admitting that he only brought Fluttershy along in order to procure the necklace, which kind of destroys Fluttershy for the most part. Daring Do points out, it's just like, yes, you have no choice but to be compelled to tell the truth. We're going to finally find out about your slimy nature. And when Rainbow Dash demands that Cabelaron reveal that he only wanted Fluttershy for her skills in this, Cabelaron actually ends up admitting that, yes, while at first we did that, we did actually just kind of string her along at first, he and his henchmen have actually grown genuinely fond of Fluttershy and genuinely like her as of now. Much to the shock of, Rainbow Dash and Daring Do and the joy of Fluttershy. But this is interrupted by the arrival of Aizodl, who is here to make sure that you do not escape with the truth-telling necklace. And he summons these bat gargoyles in order to take them out of the picture, and he seals the room, leaving them to their doom. However, while Fluttershy does her best to try to talk to the creatures, unfortunately they're not actual real living beings, so they can't be reasoned with. But with the help of Caballera, Daring Do deduces that the thing that they are weak to is sunlight. So she asks Caballera to pull out a diamond he stole in one of their previous adventures, and with the combination of the diamond and Daring Do's flashlight, they're able to emulate sunlight, which is not how that would work, but whatever, magical creatures and all that, and they're able to ward away the gargoyles. And Fluttershy even notes that, the two seem to actually be really incredible when they work together, trying to shift everyone over to the good side. But, in order to escape, Biff actually suggests that they work together in order to escape, showing off his second in command leadership skills. And with the help of everyone together, they are able to take out one of the doors and make their escape, only to be confronted again by Aoi-Zotl. And we engage in this massive game of keep away with Aoi-Zotl, and only for them to be backed into a corner where they have no escape, unfortunately. But Fluttershy actually asks the question, why does Aoi-Zotl want this necklace so much? Have we ever actually considered what exactly he wants? But Rainbow Dash just believes that he's a monster looking to terrorize people. But Fluttershy isn't quite so sure, and she simply asks Aoi-Zotl, why are you doing this? And Aoi-Zotl explains that I am the guardian of this jungle. I do everything that I do in order to keep these artifacts where they're supposed to be. But time and time again, I've failed, and I've gotten more desperate as time has gone along because of those two. And, they kind of feel a little bit bad. Daring Do thought she was keeping these artifacts out of evil hands and keeping them protected, and Caballera just wanted money. But now he kind of feels a little bit bad about everything that he's done because of his friendship with Fluttershy. And for the most part, they're able to kind of make amends to a certain degree, which I know a lot of people are kind of mad about because Aoi-Zotl had all these really evil machinations, but it's kind of been suggested that it was all in the pursuit of getting his various artifacts back from anyone who might have stolen them in the past. And Rainbow Dash has kind of learned that maybe just talking things over with others isn't such a bad way to go in order to get both sides of the story. And Aoi-Zotl actually feeling a little bit kind and generous and happy that they've returned the necklace to him actually allows them to escape, but does in fact demand that both Daring Do and Dr. Caballera never steal from his jungle ever again, or else he might get a little more ferocious once more. So we're not brushing his nature under the rug. It's just that he takes his job very seriously, and he will do whatever it takes in order to keep these artifacts protected, even if it means wiping out a village or two. So just don't incite his wrath and stop stealing his stuff. That simple, guys. But, Daring Do, once Daring Do says that, oh man, this will make a great book, Caballera realizes that, oh, you're AK Yearling, which I was pretty sure was already revealed when we first found out she was AK Yearling ourselves. But, that gives both of them an idea, and that idea is actually to collab on a book. But unfortunately, it doesn't get a lot of attention, much to Rainbow Dash's surprise, only for them to for it to be revealed that another person stole their thunder, namely Aoi-Zotl with his own book deal. A very fun, interesting episode. That we wrapped up the story of Daring Do after all this time. And while I know a lot of people won't be too happy about the fact that once again we've redeemed the bad guys, this has been something as far back as the first couple of episodes written by Lauren Faust herself. Bad guys being redeemed the way they redeemed Luna. Like, come on, blasted her with magic, now she's magically good. it's always kind of been that kind of series. And if you came into this expecting anything else, I'm sorry, but this was never going to be that kind of a series. And I realized that from jump. That first episode, well, double part special, let me know that it was going to be a series that just kind of forgave a lot of things. And, did what it could in order to bring bad guys over to the good side. Because, again, friendship is magic. It's friendship. When you put friendship in the title, a lot of bad guys are gonna get redeemed. A little bit of that Takano Jutsu, as it were. So I'm not really surprised. I'm not down about this. I'm fine with this because I just like seeing a last hurrah of these various different characters who I've had fun with over the course of this entire series. But hey, tell me your thoughts and theories in the comment section below. How did you feel about this episode? How do you feel about this being the wrap-up of Daring Do? And are you okay with the fact that she's now on better terms with both of her most fearsome enemies? And how did you feel about Fluttershy being more of a kind and understanding soul? I felt like she was very in character. This is the same character who was able to redeem the Lord of Chaos just through her own kindness. So if she can't pull those schmucks around to being better people, it would have made no sense. But again, something I'm just not surprised by. And Daring Do, not enough of her, but at the same time, there's only so much you could do with her characters. And Fluttershy and Rainbow Dash was okay in this episode. Not really too much to go off of. She was just kind of a foil to Fluttershy for the most part. But fun times were had, interesting stuff. Again, if you like this or have any thoughts and theories, comment in the comment section below. If you like this video, leave me a like. If you didn't, feel free to leave me a dislike and tell me what I did wrong in the comment section below so I might better myself for future videos. And subscribe and hit the bell icon as we draw closer and closer to that final episode. How bittersweet. And if you want to find me on social media, just Google Duuz-Diz-Din. I'm everywhere for better or for worse. Usually for worse, because I don't really do too much on social media. But, that's neither here nor there. And I just want to let you know before I go. Hey, remember, be daring, but don't doubt the people you believe in. Just be open to a dialogue, even by those who you don't quite understand, because sometimes that can actually have better lasting consequences and do more for you in the long run. It never hurts just to use a few words. Until next time, I'm Duuz-Diz-Din, and I'm going to bed. Bye-bye.